Hey everybody, how are you? Happy Sunday. Let me go and share this out. Sorry about being the king of bad. I even misspelled the I got a typo in the title. Not only do I have horrible thumbnails, I have a typo in the title. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me put this in the group. Don't know if I'm going to go public with it. Hey, Cameron, Glenn, Addie is already here. Hey, Brody, Alonzo, Jimmy, hey, Veronica, Lauren. Wow, Brody, I've been to Anchorage. I would love one of these days. I almost got to Fairfax. What's interesting is I said I would never, ever go to Alaska, and it's the one place that I've tried to get back to and haven't yet. So hopefully I can. Terry's in the house. Hey, Albert. Hey, Sunshine. William, hello. Please forgive me if I miss anybody. These things go by fast. Ellie, Philadelphia, hello. Karen, hello. Michelle, hey, back at you. Jared asks a good question. So we're going to start right off with it. Let me see. You know what? I'm just going to go public, even though it's kind of funky. Let's see. Bam, it's out on Twitter. We are there on Twitter, both accounts. I'm feeling brave tonight. So Jared asked a great question. Is homelessness worse in the UK or the US? And I personally think homelessness is a crisis everywhere. Just one homeless person outside is a crisis. I think everything is relative. It's proportional. So, you have large cities that have more homelessness, and you also have more people. So if you compared a New York or an LA or a Seattle to London, it's definitely proportional to the size of the population. One thing that's interesting that I see when I go to the UK, and for any of you across the pond, I will be in the UK later October, is healthcare. Health in the United States, you see people with wheelchairs and mental illness and crutches and just horrible health conditions. Where in the UK, because there's better healthcare, it either kicks in before, they call it rough sleeping, before they start sleeping rough, or it helps them get off the streets. Since we're on the subject, another big difference is housing is a right in the UK. There's this huge movement, and I support it. Housing should be a human right, but it doesn't necessarily mean that making housing a human right is going to get everybody into housing. So often declarations and proclamations and all this stuff is meaningless, right? I think it's good to move in that direction. I think as a philosophy, housing is a human right, is important. So please, I'm not saying don't support that, but in the UK, housing is a human right, but it's a human right where you have a connection. And what I mean by that is where you were born, your council. So here in the United States, and some of this I might get a little wrong. I haven't been in the UK for a while, but your council. So let's say you're in Chippenham, which is rural UK. that is where you have a right to housing. Now in Chippenham, there might not be a lot of jobs. So you go to London to get jobs, to find employment, and you end up on the streets. Well, you're entitled to housing, but only back where you were. So in the United States, we don't have housing as a human right, but so often behind the scenes, which is ironic. If you look at any particular city, community, the majority of the homeless people there are from there, right? But many don't have IDs, many don't have a way of proving it. So money, there's less money. We would rather spend money on an aircraft carrier than ending homelessness. Let's be real. So there's always going to be less money. And the government, and I've been behind the scenes in meetings where they're like, we only want to help the homeless people in our community. We don't want to help anybody who happens to be passing through or wasn't born here or wasn't, has this strong connection here, family or work. And again, ironically, most people do. It's just the government's trying to find ways of like saving money, which if they reduce the bureaucracy, they could save money. And then how do you prove it? So many homeless people don't have ID. So how do they prove they're from that community? It's all a mess. So one thing, and thank you, Jared, for opening with that question, wherever it is, Canada, United States, UK, Ireland, Scotland, Australia, it's all a mess. It's all a mess. Sorry, it's all a mess. Let me catch up here. Hey, Kenny from Spain, Netherlands, woo! Glenn, my opinion on Section 8 is we need more of it. I mean, subsidized housing. So Section 8, I'm not an expert on Section 8, but Section 8 is basically subsidized housing. It's saying, okay, this family or this individual cannot afford market rate rent. Many people can't these days. And so the government's going to pay for some of it. Well, in 4 years, I mean, in 5 to 10 years, trucks are going to drive themselves. That's 4 million truckers out of work. Dead entry clerks, 7 million dead entry clerks are going to be out of work. Already, they're making cashierless stores, Walmart, Amazon. Yeah, I've gone into fast food places and it's 100% kiosk. You go in and you touch a TV that's tilted to order your food. They're reducing manpower. And so robots are going to take jobs, and the affordable housing crisis is not going to be fixed anytime soon. We have the boomer generation, 65, who, like me, lost everything in the 08 crash. They're hitting 65 years old at 10,000 people a day. It's going to tax social services. So programs like Section 8, we need more of. We need a lot more. And we're not going to get into the Yang Gang UBI, but at some time, a universal basic income that does cover housing costs, basic housing costs, and basic living costs, utilities, food, smartphone, internet, transportation, clothes, is going to have to happen. It's going to have to happen. I believe that's the good thing. I am a person that loves technology. I don't look at it, and I do. I like earlier today, I tweet out, there's a robot that they made like 2,000 free throws, right? Free throw. I can't say that well. They made like 2,000 basketball thingies in a row. And, one of the things we do in America is we go, robots aren't going to take our job. Well, it is. And I'm not trying to, it's hard to say everything in a tweet, but I'm really not trying to get people scared. I'm trying to get them to talk about it, because in the homeless services sector, we are historically bad at predicting what's coming. For example, the homeless services sector was doing a 10-year plan to end homelessness, and the affordable housing crisis just ruined it because they didn't see it coming. Elderly homeless. I have been talking about it for 8 years. So others had to know about it. Robert Edgar, a bunch of other people, they've had to know this elderly homelessness was going to be a crisis. And there's some building going on right now for senior apartments. It's like really small, but what they're doing in homeless services fashion is they're starting to research. Guys, in homeless services, you can't do anything unless you spend millions on research. Just the way it is. And so we knew this crisis was coming, elderly homelessness, for years. We should have been doing the research 8 years ago. God bless them for doing it now. Maybe in 5 years, when the shit hits the fan, they'll start taking tangible actions. Who knows? Anyways, we have a crisis coming. We need to start talking about it. It's important. And I really, really believe, and I'm not going to go into the Yang Gang thing, hopefully ever again. But UBI, a universal basic income, has to happen. So cool. Kesha, hello. Hi, Kathy. So King Park, big cities have problems. Small cities have problems too. I was in Jackson, Ohio, city of 5,000 people, and a quarter of them are below the poverty rate. The opioid crisis is killing them, and there's no services. There's no homeless services. There's a church that has a house and they're showing it to me, and they're very proud of it, and typical, and they have good intentions, and they're good people, but typical in faith, what faith-based organizations like to do is they like to, and Ben Carson had said this too, they can't be too comfortable. So they provide this duplex house, but then they block off rooms. So you have a family with multiple children that need a 2-bedroom house, or probably even a 3-bedroom house. And this church provides a shelter, but then they block off the extra bedrooms because they don't want the families to get comfortable. Ridiculous. Hi, Ashley. Hey, Renee. Albert, it's not just Columbus, Ohio. Every place is bad for homelessness. Rico, everybody's doing it wrong. It's not a California thing. That's it. There's lots of people that comment. So again, I'm not going to get political, but if you look at the YouTube comments, and there's all the time people blaming Democrats, right? You don't see the Republicans. You don't see the Democrats in there going, hey, it's a Republican thing. But what I thought was really funny, ironic, because it's not really funny. The light going out is really funny. Hey, the light went back on. Hey, now that's hilarious. One of these days, I'm going to make a live streaming studio. I had one when I was in Syracuse. One of these days, I am going to make it. So when I post, back to what I was talking about, when I post about, let's say somebody in Los Angeles, everybody says, oh, California is the worst. You got to move. You got to move. And then I'm recently in North and South Carolina, and I post stories, and people are saying the same thing. You know, oh, the Carolinas are the worst. You got to move. I could post a video of a homeless person in any city in the United States, probably Canada, US, and Australia, and people would say, oh, that city's the worst. You got to move. So let's all agree homelessness is the worst everywhere, and we have to do something about it. What do you say? Della, I thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm not going to get into the immigration. Bank robbing is illegal. Fleeing from a war atrocities with your families, trying to better your life, to me is not illegal. I'm sorry. Hey, Calgary Rambler. I'm hoping so. 2020. Okay, here's the trips coming up. Anybody near Miami? I'm going to be in Miami. I'm speaking at the University of Miami or Law University or something like that. Truly honored. It's a couple of days symposium about criminalization, which is a huge issue. If you're not aware, criminalization of homelessness, if you support locking people up, and a lot of people do, just take your bank account number and your routing number and, give it to the government, because it's like crazy expensive. Last time I checked, a jail in New York City is $168,000 a year. So even though the rent is like crazy expensive, jail is way more expensive. So if you support the criminalization of homelessness, you are, just give the government all your money. Come on. I mean, I get it. Nobody, let me put it this way. Homeless people don't have any place to go. You see homeless people on the sidewalk. You might see them in the woods, depending on what your location is, on the side of the freeway, under a bridge, over a bridge. They don't want to be there. You don't want them there. If you support criminalization, it does nothing. They may move for a little bit, but they don't have any place to go. More often than not, they come right back to the same area. It's a whack-a-mole game. It does nothing to end homelessness. It just wastes taxpayer money. If you want homeless people out of sight because you're driving down the street and you don't want them there, or they're in front of your apartment complex or whatever, then support solutions to end homelessness, such as housing and affordable housing. And we all have to rally for that. For example, Los Angeles, and I was part of it. I actually regret that I was part of helping to pass Prop HHH. I believed in it. The people that were behind it told me it was going to be the end to chronic homelessness. So invisible people supported that. Now it's not even going to, they're not even going to build the amount of buildings. The cost per unit is in 500 to 700. That's ridiculous. 500 to 700. So we don't abandon the model of housing. We just got to figure out a way of doing it a lot cheaper and quicker. Because here it is, 3 years, Prop HHH, and no housing has gone online. I mean, it's in the pipeline. I guess by the end of this year, some units are going to be available, but you have all these people on the street, and you can take this to whatever city you are in. And you, each one of you in this chat room or watching, we all have to fight for affordable housing. We have to fight for housing solutions that actually work, that can be created. Well, first off, you can't build your way out of homelessness. We're not going to build, enough structures to end homelessness in any city. You have to be creative. There's abandoned buildings, and there's maybe, I hate sanctioned tent cities because they shouldn't even exist, but maybe a tent city if it's in a warmer climate where there's services provided and there's safety. You got to look at different solutions. And we cannot look at it and say, gosh, let's just arrest these people and get them out of sight. That's ridiculous. We have to look, and I brought up the tent city thing, and I want to make this clear. Tent cities, sanctioned tent cities, are not a solution. They're a Band-Aid, and we have to get people off the streets, out of the tent cities, into housing. It saves money. It saves your money. It saves your taxpayer money, and it saves lives. God, I just went out of the gate and been rambling. Hey, I'm not going to pronounce your name right. Luaba, and you're talking about you and your husband. And please forgive me. Some of you have very interesting and lovely, wonderful YouTube names, and some of you are from different cultures. So please forgive me if I don't pronounce your name correct. But you're talking about volunteering in Houston. Houston, I haven't been to in many, many years. I haven't been to as Invisible People, and I need to. There's a couple of people in our online support group for homeless people. One specifically comes to mind that is in Houston. And thank you all, whoever goes out and helps, because here's the thing. Advocate for more affordable housing. Advocate for more affordable housing. Advocate for more affordable housing. Advocate for more support. Fight against criminalization. And whenever you can, volunteer and support your local nonprofits that are ending homelessness. Not the ones that are maintaining homelessness, the ones that are actually getting people off the streets, off the shelter beds, and into housing. Those are the ones to support. So thank each and every one, because it all matters. It all matters. So Sherry just, I'll read her comment. She says, some homeless people are really homeless, but there are some that pretend to be homeless just to get people's money. And I'm not going to deny that, because there is, and let's put it in perspective. Enron, Bernie Madoff, they all lied to mass amounts of people, far more than that. Look at our president, how honest he is. People lie, and they rip off and steal and do all kinds of rotten things. What's ironic about that is there's this myth, and I'm not big on myth busting, but that homeless people make a lot of money, and they don't. The majority of people out panhandling in many cities aren't really homeless. But if you ask them, they will tell you, I have an apartment, I just can't make ends meet. We live in a world now where people in housing can't afford food or can't afford a pack of cigarettes, and people smoke. It's an addiction. I have 24 years off drugs and 10 years off cigarettes. I smoked for a very long time. I actually like smoking. I miss smoking. But my point is, and I don't, you know what? I've never been able to figure this out, that when you go up, and my mom's dog is doing something over here. So when you go up and you talk to a person you think is homeless, and I start talking to them, and they say, "Oh no, I'm not really homeless. I just can't make ends meet. So I come out here and I beg for money." What happens, begging for money is probably one of the most humiliating things. I don't know. There's several homeless people in this chat group. This conversation we're having is about homelessness, and Addie and Derek are currently home. Well, Addie, you got in housing, didn't you? So I take that back. I think Addie has a place to stay, but I think Derek is still homeless, and there may be others. I know Kesha and a few others are homeless, and they will tell you that anybody that's panhandling, people spit on you, they call you names, pour hot coffee on you. It's a humiliating way to make money. And there's this belief, this false belief, that homeless people make thousands of dollars a day. Well, if they did make that amount of money, they would, they don't. They don't. Now, back to Sherry's comment, one of the most recent ones I remember was an organization in New York City that faked to be a homeless shelter, and they had the 5-gallon water jugs, and then they paid homeless people to set up these things so people walking by would donate into the jugs. And they made $100,000 a year, if I remember correctly. They probably paid the homeless people $20. And they pocketed everything. Yeah, it sucks. It's horrible. Majority of the people you see panhandling need the money. There's not enough data on it. I have one report on invisible people about it, but it's, yeah. Whoop. Okay, the chat just jumped. So if I miss somebody, it just jump. Hey, Ska Punk, welcome. Adina, criminalizing homelessness is criminal, I think. So Sethi, Sethi asked, what's the best way to help homeless people? And I, for anybody, I know most people probably just jump into this for a little bit and bounce. Advocate for more affordable housing. You could go to invisiblepeople.tv/get involved and contact your state and federal legislators. I cannot stress how important that is. It is extremely important. Number two, got to do, I should do a list or a listicle video on this. Number two, support local nonprofits. I get this question all the time, and it's kind of interesting because I truly want to help homeless people. I know there's nonprofits in the homeless sector that would say, give us money. No. Yeah, we need donations. I'm not saying don't give us money, but you need to support ending homelessness in your community. So, number one, support, fight. We need more affordable housing. Number two, Help, support, volunteer, donate your local nonprofits that are ending homelessness. Number 3, get Mark a new light, because that light is just not working. Sorry about that. Hey, it must know. I mean, I have no idea. It's the first time I used it. I got to figure that out. 4, well, 3, because the light was a joke. Not a good joke, but it was a joke. If you paid more, I'd give you better jokes. How's that? Number 3, fight criminalization. Number 4, educate. And they're really, all these are not really in the list of priority. Educate the people around you. You know, send them invisible people videos. Or if you hear somebody say, oh, those bums, you know, say, you know what? They don't want to be out there, you know, or they'll say, those drug addicts, that's their fault. They're lazy or whatever. Educate your neighbors. Educate your neighbors. And number 5, oh gosh, I forgot. Are we at 5? You know, and this, it's safety first. If you don't feel safe, I'm not telling you to go out and connect with homeless people. You got to feel safe. I was just with Disha in North Carolina, and she's formerly homeless. And we went out walking, and she was like, I could never do this by myself. And she was on the streets. So please, safety first. But if there's a homeless person that you pass by regularly, you know, say hello. How can I help? More often, I mean, a friend Jane from K-Town for All, I always remember she tells a story about a homeless man that just asked for eye drops, you know. So, and you know, homelessness sucks. Some people are just going to be grumpy. You know, you go to work, people are grumpy, right? You go to church, people are grumpy. And yes, homeless people are grumpy too. They're going to the bathroom behind a dumpster in McDonald's parking lot. You'd be grumpy too. So, understand that homeless people, just like any other human, might be, God, I got something on my nose, might be having a rough day. So if they don't respond in a way that you think they should, you know, give them some grace. One thing is persistence breaks down resistance. So, you know, maybe like for me, I carry socks. It's rare that you'll see me walking down the street anywhere without a bag of socks, right? And so I will give them socks over and over and over and over again. So hopefully that answers your question. And thank you. Good. Hey, thanks everybody. Great questions tonight. Malcolm's in the house. So Michelle T, I don't like the Michelle T is saying it's like the government wants people to be locked up, and I'm one, I don't like conspiracy theories, but that's what the war on drugs was. You know, I think it's more criminalization, and I wish, you know, the homeless sector likes to research stuff. The two things they research a lot is housing first and youth homelessness. Both are important, but I think at least on the housing first, we've got it. People know it works. Let's go on, maybe research criminalization or something. I believe it is the result of public pressure. The public, they don't see humans, they see tents, and they want people gone. So they pressure, most of it is businessmen that probably donate to political campaigns, and they're pressuring the politicians to get homeless people out of sight. The easiest way, pass some laws and have the police disrupt. Well, you know, and it's psychological warfare. I got to tell you this. This is crazy. You know, I got, there's, in Venice Beach, if any of you have been to Venice, there's a boardwalk. Over here is the beach, and over here is the city streets. So it's illegal to be on the beach with a tent at night. And it's illegal to be on the city streets during the day. So every day, 7 days a week, the homeless people move their tents, move their tents, move their stuff, move their tents, move their tents every day. Rain, shine, doesn't matter, cold. And it's psychological warfare. And the Pete White from LA Can says this, and there's some truth to it, because, but then where do they go? If a homeless person gives up, then where do they go? Big problem. CRO Gold, is that who I think you are? Kathy T, you know what? Research your local nonprofits. Kathy T is asking where's the best place to donate. And you know what? It's interesting. If it's safe, meaning the homeless person can accept a large amount of cash and it's not going to hurt them. If it's safe, if they want it. I've actually tried to talk homeless people into starting a GoFundMe when I do their video, and they didn't want it. Okay? They didn't want it. If they can set it up so I'm not the middleman, I'm not going to get between anybody and their money. I will set up a GoFundMe. And over the years, we've raised tens of thousands of dollars for homeless people, because you all rather give direct than to give the invisible people, which is fine. I get it. But it's just kind of ironic that, you know, there's this thing where the public doesn't trust nonprofits, and you would all rather give directly, charity. And the problem with that, and I do it too. I mean, I don't want to say I don't trust nonprofits. I give directly to homeless people all the time. The problem is charity never solved a social crisis, never got that person off the streets into housing. Never once. Doesn't work that way. Yeah, clothes are important. Food is important. I think Kimberly and Boo just got a new van. That's important. But it's not going to get them into housing and end homelessness. So you have to donate to nonprofits that are working to end homelessness. You have to. There's a nonprofit in your city. I'm sure there's bad ones too. There's good McDonald's, bad McDonald's. I mean, it's just, you have to research and support the nonprofit in your community that is working to end homelessness. It's good. No, it's great. They need support. Support it with your time, support it with your donations, giving directly. You could give $10,000 to a homeless person and they're still going to be homeless. It's just the way it is. $10,000 in most cases to anybody, not just a homeless person, will better their life for a short period of time. They'll pay some bills, maybe go on a trip, buy a new TV, but then their life is back to where it was, you know? And it's not homeless or not. For a homeless person to get out of homelessness, they need a consistent monthly income or housing subsidy so they're off the streets. $10,000 doesn't do that. So I get it. You guys are filled with compassion. You want to help. It's great that you want to help people individually. I do it myself. But you also have to support the nonprofits that are working to end homelessness. We got to end it. We got to end this homeless crisis. And it's the nonprofit. Okay, I think you guys got it. Brody, I agree that it is a duty for all of us to help our neighbors. CIR Sir Gold, Sir CIR Gold. Can you explain that? I don't totally understand the liability part. If you mean homeless, if we're talking criminalization, it might be some truth to that. Milka. So, CC, if you saw a panhandler drive off in a new car, I guarantee that's rare. I guarantee that is so rare. So, Lauren, I am going to try to um, explain one paycheck away, but some people might not like my explanation. And because that is really not a true saying, people are not one paycheck away from homelessness. And let me explain this. And I like to give attribution. Ian Dijon, who runs Old Org Code, is the person that educated me on this. Most people experiencing poverty will never be homeless. Well, if we don't fix the affordable housing crisis, that's going to change. But most people are not going to be homeless. Most people with mental illness are not going to be homeless. Most people that are addicted to drugs live in houses and condos that are very nice. What it is the social network is burnt. So, like for instance, I have car repair. I have major car repair this week, and it hurts. It hurts bad. But I have somebody I can lean on to help me with that money. Otherwise, I would be, who knows, in a very serious crisis. So one paycheck happens when you don't have somebody to borrow rent from, when you don't have somebody to borrow diaper money from, when you don't have that safety net, then you might end up in a hotel. You might end up in your car. Heaven forbid you end up on the streets. So hopefully that explained it. But the saying one paycheck away from homelessness is not really true. It's just the saying people say. Milka, I quit cigarettes through Wellbutrin. I went to a doctor. I had to. I mean, I was told when I was 21 that I kept smoking, that I would, because I was born with bad lungs, and I kept smoking until I was like 35, maybe 40 even. Um, no, gosh, till I was 45. Oh. So Wellbutrin worked for me. The patch, I just kept on looking like a quilt. I'd put on a patch, put on a patch. Pretty soon I got 4 or 5 patches on. Nothing's happening. Yes, Addie is in a room, a nice room, by the way. Although I liked your Halloween picture much better. And the light again. I do not know why it's doing that. And it's back. See the CIR. Okay, where are we? Got about 15 minutes. So next week I will be around. I'm headed. Hey, William, I am headed to Miami. I will have. Oh yeah, I forgot. So I'm speaking at Law University in Miami about criminalization. I went on to this whole rant about criminalization and didn't give my dates. Oh my gosh. So I'm in Miami and I do have a free day. I don't know Miami well. I've been there once before. If somebody is local and wants to hang out, please let me know. Then I am in San Jose for Oculus Connect. Oculus is, the VR company, and we're doing a movie. Hopefully, it will be launched at Sundance. I know that's what they're planning. And then I will be in Austin, Texas. So that takes us to the first week in October. And then I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania for one day speaking at a college. And then I am at over in London. And part of what I'm doing is secret. If you watch my last London vlog, I talked about the secret project. The other part is I had some miles and I needed a break. Not that I'm going to have a break in London, because if you know me, I'm going to be out with socks, hanging out with rough sleepers. But I extended it a couple of days since I was being brought over to, just have some time. So Curtis, criminalization is everywhere. In fact, Houston, one of the things that really I find interesting is the homeless sector likes to praise Houston for their work in ending homelessness, but Houston is also one of the worst cities in criminalizing. And what they do is they only look at the good stuff. And I think you got to look at the whole community. So I'm not so sure Houston is the best at ending homelessness, but criminalization of homelessness is everywhere. So the Nighthawker, thank you very much, but I am not an authority. I am just a old fat guy with a loud mouth and a webcam. But to answer your question, there's a link down below. Please click it. Housing First. It's a 4-minute video where Lanny went into housing. Took us 4 years to get him into housing, and immediately his life changed. And Lanny was blowing a 0.48. I mean, I ranted with NBC reporter earlier today because he was interviewing somebody. And you know what? I'm going to rant. There is a group of people. It might be in every city, but Los Angeles is where my heart is. I pay a lot of attention to Los Angeles. And believe it or not, majority of Invisible People's network is Los Angeles. So there's a group of people, and some of them are shelter operators. Some of them are politicians. Dr. Drew is one of them, that have this false belief that homelessness is all drug addicts and it's all mental illness. The last study, according to LASA, is about 25%, which if you look at the normal population, it's about this, probably a little bit higher. Anyways, they said service resistant. And what that means is, or what they're trying to say is, homeless people are not coming into services because they just want to stay outside and drink. And I thought about that for a second. I bet you the guy that's a reporter drinks a beer at home, right? You all probably drink a beer at home. What is it about a homeless person that wants to drink a beer that he should be outside? Or how about a person with mental illness? Oh, they should be outside. Oh, there's people with mental illness. So what they want, and they use this service resistant, I'm gonna froth at the mouth. I'm gonna get so mad on this one. Service resistant is just an excuse for them to make an excuse for horrible services. If you took Eric Trump, Michelle Obama, Navy SEAL, anybody, and said, okay, you got to go live in a homeless shelter for a week, they would be service resistant. Homeless shelters suck. They suck. You know, what it is services are people resistant. 100% of people, whether they are severely mentally ill or severely addicted to drugs, will go into housing if it's the right housing. So Nighthawker, please go down, watch in the description a link about Housing First. Housing First works. It not only saves lives, it saves taxpayer money. So doesn't really matter if they're a drug addict or if they're sober. But let's talk. So 1.3 million children under the age of 6 experience homelessness last year, this year. They're not wasted. They don't have mental illness. 1.3 million children under the age of 6. So this group in Los Angeles and probably every city wants to chunk all this. They're fear mongers, and they want to put all this homelessness into they're drug addicts and they're alcoholics and they have mental illness and they need to go into treatment. You know how fucked treatment is? And sorry, one thing's always bugged me is people say, please forgive my French. That's not French. That's a cuss word, right? You're homeless. You go into treatment for 38 days or whatever, and then you're exited back out into the streets. You're still homeless, right? And while you're homeless, you are going to drink and use because homelessness sucks. So this whole group of, politicians, shelter providers, Dr. Drew, and newspaper reporters, television reporters, all want to say homeless people are service resistant when the truth is services suck. It just sucks. We got to fix the bureaucracy. We got to fix how homeless people are treated. We got to fix how they access services. And we can do that without spending a lot of money. Yes, there needs to be more money, but right now we can improve so much. So anyways, Nighthawker, thank you for the question. Night hiker, sorry, thank you for the question. And hopefully that answered. Wow. Sadie, her brother started drinking, mentally ill brother started drinking after he became homeless because it's the only way he could fall asleep outside. Wow. So Desert 67, first aid kits, I get requests for them. And, Target actually has dollar. If you go to the travel section, they have dollar first aid kits, or I will buy a nicer one for like if I'm going to a homeless camp. Okay, folks, we are about 5 minutes out. Got 5 minutes. Any last thoughts? Now, next week I will be here. We're going to do the same time. I agree, John. Service resistant. If it wasn't so sad, it would be funny. Hi, Jill. Terry, I wish more people would be pissed. There's a lack of a sense of urgency because there's, like, for instance, elderly homelessness. Um, I want to believe there's good people throughout homeless services, and shit's going to hit the fan. There was a real estate developer, or a housing developer earlier that was tweeting to me how she's scared, and she builds affordable housing about seniors. And, it's like people in the sector, not all people, but it seems like to me, they're like, oh, yeah, it's going to get bad. And, let's go watch Netflix. No, we got to do something. These are people. Oh, Miss Dill Pickle, I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome back, and sorry to learn about your uncle. Callie, wow. Yeah, Jamie, I mean, the whole rehab thing, that's the thing. There's this whole section of people. Um, there's something about me. I always want to believe the good in people. I just do. So I don't want to say they're doing this to make money, but it's the only thing I can think of, because if you grow shelters and you grow treatment, then somebody's making money. The thinking that the solution to mental illness and addiction is homeless shelters or rehab is ridiculous, because homeless shelters are not going to help with addiction or mental illness. And the whole recovery system is disjointed. Thanks, Nighthawker. You're very kind. Sarah says, how do you fix the garbage problem? We have so one of the issues that people see, trash is an issue. Humans make trash. If I turn this camera or webcam around, this table is filled with it. You got open boxes, and you got sandwich wrappers, and some fruit jars, and some gear. We make trash. So I know here at Mom's house, we pay $70 for trash pickup every week for 3 months. $70, 3 months. On Skid Row, there's no trash pickup. More often than not, homeless people, when I visit a homeless tent camp, I take garbage bags. People laugh at me, and then we go in with garbage bags, and homeless people are like, yeah, we need them. They don't want to live in the trash either. Now, yes, there's some people that are mentally ill and addicted, and they've given up. They've just gone, you know what? My life sucks. I don't care. I'm just going to be wasted. We've got to get them into housing. Yeah. But the point is, and it's a great question, and it's everywhere, we've got to figure out a way of doing trash pickup for the homeless population. Right, Red Angel? There's no trash service, and there's no bathrooms or water fountains. Okay, folks, we're coming up on the end here. Any last words? Anything you'd like to talk about? Like me fixing the lamp? John, it is a crisis. Adina, it's not so much, and Shirley added on to that. It's not so much tiny homes. I mean, we just can't put people in the boxes. Speaking of the light, you just can't put people in the boxes. You need support services. So, and the light comes back on. I do not know why it does that. If you look at invisible people, go to our channel. I did a video of tiny homes in Springfield. Type in Springfield tiny homes, invisible people into YouTube. It'll come up. They're great, but it's also each homeless person is being taken care of more than just putting them into a tiny home. And that's so important. Nighthawker, Nighthawker. Why do I keep saying that? Night hiker. I wish I knew the answer to that. K-Bear, would you please email me that study at mark@invisiblepeople.tv? I would like to, and I think you're making it up, but if you're not, I would like to see that study. Okay, folks, we've gone over an hour. Thank you, everybody. I've had a marvelous Sunday night. Sorry I couldn't join you last week. We will be around next week. And if you guys have any questions, ideas, show ideas, I really want to get back to where I'm producing a show. That's just the television producer and me. Don't know if it'll happen. One thing I got to do is fix the light. I think I got the camera. I think the audio is now good. It's always something. It's always something. So this week, I know I've been saying it, the VR 180 tour of the Navigation Center in San Francisco will hopefully post tomorrow or Tuesday. Then Derek's Tent City, former Tent City, will post shortly after that. The VR process, the VR 180 process, continues to be far more challenging than I had imagined. So it will be up this week. Hopefully you guys will share the heck of it. And I also hope that you guys will have a marvelous, marvelous, marvelous week. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the wonderful questions, wonderful discussion. Thank you, Addie and Derek, for moderating. And see y'all next week.